Well, 95% of the blocks, believe it or not, come from the internal, from your thoughts, from your habits, from your beliefs. Hello and welcome. My name is Gino Barbaro, one of the co-founders of Jake and Gino. And in this how-to video, we're going to be discussing how do you create the proper mindset to start investing in multifamily. Now, if you want to learn how to create a powerful mindset and how to really become an excellent investor, I want you to listen to this show because it's not just specifically for multifamily investors. That's who Jake and I like to talk to. That's who we resonate with. But this can be for anybody. And I think mindset is so powerful. And I think the first thing that you need to do, if you're investing right now, you're considering investing, don't think about the return. One of the biggest mistakes that I see beginning investors make is, what is a good deal? Or what am I going to get if I put $10,000 into this? The very first thing that we should all be doing, if we haven't, is try to understand what our relationship with money is. Now, you may be saying to yourself, what does that have to do with investing? It has everything to do with investing. You need to understand what type of persona you have when it comes to money. Now, let me explain real quick. There's several types of personas. I'm going to go through them. And as I go through them, I want you to think to yourself, well, who am I? You may be predominantly one type, but you also may have other types. They may be overlapping. The first one is the saver. Now, I mentioned that one for the first one because I was and am the prototypical saver. As I grew up, I think you need to understand this. You start creating your values and start creating your personas in your life when you're younger. When you start hearing the people around you talking about certain topics, your values are created from your family, from your friends, from what you're listening to. When I was younger, both my parents, immigrants, they were constantly telling me, save for a rainy day, save for a rainy day. Don't take a lot of risks. So I grew up naturally becoming a really good saver. The second was the spender. I really didn't like to spend. I like to see that money in the bank. So it was hard for me to spend money and enjoy money. Are you a saver? Are you a spender? The next one, I've heard a lot of people talk about this when they're investing. They're the avoiders. They don't like to look at their checking account. They don't like to look at their savings account. Maybe when they were younger, they always heard their parents fighting and arguing about money. So they didn't want to even hear about the topic. How are you going to create wealth? How are you going to become an investor if you are typically always avoiding? Now, I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to shine a light and try to make you think about why you have that relationship with money. And you can shift the relationship with money because that's what I've done. I was a massive saver. Now, as I've gotten down the road and I've had more kids, I've started to understand that it's great to save for an asset to pay for these events. That's what I love to do. But also, it's good to really enjoy the money. I mean, money is created there as a tool. Understanding that money's a tool, money's there to create impact, money is just a result. These are all things that I had to learn, all things that I needed to challenge, all things that my relationship with money was I don't want to say it was damaged, but it was really difficult for me to create a relationship, a healthy one with money. I have a quote written down, and the quote says, money does not corrupt people. It reveals people. And to me, that was so telling because I always thought that if I made a lot of money, I would become a bad person. You are inherently who you are. If you're a good person, money will only amplify that. Now, to me, that's so exciting because there's so many of you out there that are full of goodness, full of amazing values. I want you to create a great relationship with money because I want so much money to flow into your life. I want that money to amplify what you have in your life, and I want you to reveal the goodness through how you use your money. Now, let's get back to these personas because they're really important. The next one, we had mentioned the avoider. What about the I, the investor? Are you an investor? There are some of you out there inherently that just love to invest. And I had a little bit of that because my parents taught me, yes, let's save money, but let's buy a duplex here and there. Let's invest in the business. We had a small little restaurant. Let's buy a triplex. Let's buy a little commercial building. So I had a little bit of I in me. Now, this last one is important. The G, the gambler. Now, you're the type of investor or person who loves to make money. But once you make money, you don't want to hold on to it. There's something going on. You're what's the word when you're sabotaging yourself? That's the word I was looking for. You get the money, then all of a sudden, 2 months later, you put it into a stupid investment that you knew you probably shouldn't have. but maybe you didn't think you were worthy of that money, or maybe you just get that dopamine hit and want to put that money to work, and you think you're putting it to work, but you're just gambling it away. Understanding what your personas are so important to start understanding what the relationship is you have with money. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's very hard to create wealth if you're not saving money. You need to be able to save money to put that money to work. You don't need a lot of money. My son started with a $5,000 investment into one of our deals. Now, it's grown to multiple six figures over the last 6 or 7 years, but that was only a $5,000 investment. Remember, if you're avoiding it, you'll say to yourself, I don't have any money, or I don't have enough. That's the avoider. The investor is going to say, hey, I've got this money. Let me go out and deploy it. So understand what your personas are. I think the next one was so revolutionary for me because up until this point that I had read T. Harv Eker's book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, I was in blame mode. I was in victim mode. It was the president's fault. It was the economy. It was never Gino's fault. But when I read T. Harv Eker's book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, all of a sudden, he says in the book, your fruits are in your roots. Everything changed for me. All of a sudden, I understood that I needed to be responsible about my choices. I needed to be the saver, but I also needed to be the investor. I had to worry about not gambling my money away. I couldn't avoid the situation. Really important that I understood that it all flowed through me. Once you as an investor claim the responsibility, you understand that is about you and not about any external forces. It's all, for me, really internal forces. We call this in life coaching an energy block. Anything that restricts or holds you back, whether it's internal or external. I was always focusing on the external, never on the internal. Well, 95% of the blocks, believe it or not, come from the internal, from your thoughts, from your habits, from your beliefs, from your skills. Well, I had poor beliefs, poor habits, very few skills, very shallow roots. Hence, I had no fruits. I would challenge you to read T. Harv Eker's book. To me, it was life-changing. And from that, up to that point, as I read the book, I had made tons of mistakes in investing. I didn't know why. It's because I wasn't properly educated. I wasn't responsible on learning the vehicle that I chose. I chose multifamily right after that. Now, did I become successful overnight? No, it took a little bit of time. I met Jake. I got into partnership with Jake, but I continued to be mentored. I continued to invest in my education. Now, the responsible investor does that. The one who's irresponsible or is a victim or is avoiding or blaming won't do that. Now, how do I know? Because I was that person for years, and I constantly kept making stupid mistakes with my investing. My mindset wasn't there. The next shift that I had was, at that point, I was saving money into these different vehicles, whether it was to retire, whether it was for college savings, whether it was whatever event you can think of you're going through, that's where the money was going to save. When I realized that I needed to save money to buy an asset to pay for that event, everything changed for me. I felt as if I was in control now. I don't have to put money into retirement for 20 years down the road. I want to buy an asset today that produces value and cash flow for me today. Everything changed. Once you adopt that mindset for multifamily, you're putting money away here. I need to use that money to invest in this deal. Everything changes. I have two more points really, but this point is really important. For myself, the reason why I became successful with a business partner and why I became successful in multifamily, just specifically for that vehicle, it was about my values. As you're listening to this, what are your values? Write down the word values-based decision-making. That will change everything for you. All of a sudden, you're making your decisions based upon your values, not Gino's values, not Mary's values. And once I understood that, my values of integrity, my values of hard work, my values of family, my values of responsibility, long-termism, commitment, these were my values. That's how I found my vehicle of multifamily, because it fit all those boxes. And oh, by the way, every decision that I made, every deal that I've done, I've looked at it through that lens. And I can say unequivocally, without a doubt, I wouldn't be here without my business partner, Jake. Our values align so well. We both want we both, I think, have adopted, and we both have those values. We both think about long-termism. We both think about commitment. We both think about the vehicle of multifamily and not that get-there-itis. To be jumping around, to be George the Gambler. We're jumping around from one asset class to the next asset class. We're really focused in and honed in on our asset class, and we love that asset class. And we've been in this business for over 15 years, just focusing on that one asset. Now, this last one may be hard for you to believe when you first start out, but I am living proof of this. I want you to focus on one deal at a time. Don't be thinking 5 or 10 years down the road. You need to be mapping that out. Absolutely. You need to know what your life looks like 5 years from now and 10 years from now. And I even do an exercise that Stephen Covey put together years and years ago, thinking about the end in mind. That's great. But what we all often forget is what's going to get you a deal or what's going to get you success is creating a system or a process to achieve the 5 and 10 years. What are you doing daily? What are you doing hourly? What are you doing weekly to achieve those goals? Focus on that one deal in multifamily. That one deal will be life-changing. It will all take care of itself. For example, on our very first deal, Jake and I took over 18 months to find our very first deal. Let me say that again for you. 18 months. He actually quit on me for a few months because he went out and bought a house with his fiance. I'm on, bro. And I'm sitting in my basement when I get that phone call from Jake. And I said, Jake, I'll give you a couple of months off, but we need to revisit this. I was so impassioned. I was so ready to get into multifamily. I was so focused on that one. And after 18 months, we closed on a 25-unit deal. Now, some of you may say, hey, that's just big. Some of you may say, hey, that's really small. I thought that was amazing for us because we got in the game. And what that did, it gave us credibility. It gave us momentum. And all of a sudden, behaviors are belief-driven. We started to believe. And guess what? 3 months later, we got presented a 36-unit deal from the same broker from that first deal. We closed on 36 units 3 months after the 25 units. And then 6 months after that, we closed on a 136-unit deal. So within 2 years of partnering up with Jake, we have over 200 units. It all starts with mindset. It all starts being prepared. It all starts with understanding saving. It all starts with understanding your persona. It all starts understanding of why you want to invest in that vehicle. Now, I'm here to tell you, for me personally, multifamily is one of the best, if not the best vehicles to create wealth. It has amazing tax benefits, principal pay down, cycle resiliency. The list goes on and on and on. But remember, if you don't believe you can do it, then you're not going to do it. But I have great news for you. If a pizza guy and a drug rep can do it, then you can absolutely do it. You just need the right mindset. Now, these are some books that I want to share with you that will help you with your mindset and will prepare you for the journey of multifamily. Now, the very first one I mentioned, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. Amazing book. I love T. Harv Eker. You may read it the first time and have the same feeling as I did. Man, who is this guy? He don't know me. Why is he saying this? Don't take it personally, as I did. I wanted to punch T. Harv as I'm reading this book. And then I stopped and said to myself, time out. It's not T. Harv Eker. What people say is about them. What you hear is about you. And I had a lot of deficiencies, and I had to say to myself, time out. He's right. It's time to take responsibility. The next one is The Richest Man in Babylon. Love George Clayton's book. It's so simple, yet so profound. And once you start adopting those principles of saving money, 10%, of reinvesting it, of worrying about who your tribe is, your community, such simple yet profound lessons to be creating wealth. The next one is one of my favorite books that I've read in the last 5 or 6 years, I would say, is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. He talks about your relationship with money. He talks about what does money do for you. He talks about the autonomy that we're all looking for. We're not really looking for money. We're looking for what money can create. And one of the things that money can create, and it created for me, was the autonomy, the freedom to make those choices. Money, once again, remember, it's just a result. The better you are at something, the more the money will show up. And the last one, obviously, I have to make a plug for myself and for the Jake and Gino community. If you want to learn about multifamily, email me, gino@jakeandgino.com, and I'll send you over a copy of Wheel Our Profits, a PDF copy. This is where you want to start building the foundation. Now, I've talked about in the last 15 minutes or so about building the foundation. The foundation needs to be built. If you build a foundation on sand, what happens? It gets washed away. I want you to build a foundation on rock. So once it's strong, you can start building up quick. It took Jake and I 18 months to build that foundation of rock. Remember, 18 months may be a long time, but then 6 months after that, those buildings start going up real quick. And that's what ends up happening once you build a strong foundation. I want to thank you for spending part of your day with me, and I'll see you all on next week's How To. Take care, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe so you'll never miss another episode.